Hello again, Casey Horn here with Champion Families Counseling, helping you be the champion of your life. And today I want to talk about politics. Yeah, politics. I'm either being really brave or really dumb by addressing that topic, but I believe it is possibly the most divisive topic that's going on in our country. It's wreaking havoc on relationships and causing people all kinds of stress and anxiety, and I think it's important to discuss. So imagine for me, if you will, for a moment, that you are a marriage counselor. Imagine you are a marriage counselor. Now imagine CNN and Fox News walking into your office for marriage counseling. Do you think you could be objective enough to be able to help that couple to resolve their issues? Or are you too biased inside your own mind and your own heart to be able to successfully do that? Think about that for a moment. So I am a marriage counselor, and one of the challenges of being a marriage counselor is to be able to hear both sides of the story before I've jumped to conclusions. And it's almost now a muscle memory for me that when I hear something that sounds a bit extreme, there's a gut check in me that says, there's probably another side of the story here. I need to step back and evaluate what else is going on, what's being taken out of context, those type of things. And I'm going to tell you, every couple that sits in front of me does this. And in the words of Jimmy Evans, when a couple comes to my office and they're both here at the same time, they are both here to prove to me that their spouse is the devil. So there's this thought that by each individual that's sitting on the couch, that they have been right this whole time, and they're finally sitting in front of a counselor thinking that I'm going to be on their side, and finally someone's going to tell their spouse that they're being selfish and stupid and they've not really done anything wrong. And they're unable to see that they've done anything wrong, and they're unable to see that their own behavior has caused some of the problem that's going on. And it's my job to be able to step back and hear both sides and hear them both point fingers and blame each other for things sometimes it's not even their fault. And I have to be able to mediate between that. And I can't do that if I have a biased mind. Now listen, I am not perfect at being objective, especially when it comes to politics. I am guilty of confirmation bias. I most certainly am. There was a video recently out called Plandemic, and I fell for that thing hook, line, and sinker, and I should have known better because that thing reeked of exaggeration. So couples sitting in front of me often will exaggerate their story and manipulate the story, and sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. They have convinced themselves that they are the victim of the other person's selfishness, and out of that hurt and that pain, they're viciously sometimes attacking the other just to try to win the argument. It's now no longer who's right or who's wrong. It's I want to win. I want to win the war, even if that means manipulating the situation. And trust me, that happens often. And I've had clients that will later in an individual session admit to me that they've bluntly lied in order to try to win the argument because they're just so tired of not being heard. And that's really the key of the whole thing, being heard. Most of the time, the individuals that are sitting in front of me, even though they're there as a couple, their whole desire is they want someone to finally validate what they're feeling. They want someone to tell them that the way they're feeling is not crazy. Their thoughts are not crazy. And to validate that they're frustrated for a reason, or they're angry for a reason. But what will often happen, and this is happening in politics, is we will look down our noses at the other person because their thoughts are not like mine. And then what will happen is they'll start belittling. And when you start belittling, that exacerbates the argument and the conflict that's going on between them. And let me say this, whether it's politics or marriage, if you start belittling the other person, This has nothing to do with the other person anymore. There's something going on inside of you, inside of your own heart, that needs to be addressed, that needs to be fixed, or the relationship will not succeed because you're unable to take a look inside of yourself to find out what's going on. When you stoop to name calling, you're the problem. You hear me? When you look down your nose at someone else, you're the problem. To quote one of my professors, the moment that you talk down to someone like they're a child, you immediately cut off their ability to hear anything you have to say. So talking down to someone, you're trying to get your point across, but they can't hear you because it's like you're taking your own fingers and plugging their ears while you're trying to talk to them at the same time. It doesn't work. So do you have things in your heart that is causing you to not be able to see the world objectively? Can you look at CNN and Fox News and listen to both stories, and can you hear the little small nuggets of truth on each side? And can you hear the manipulation on each side? And then help the couple that's sitting in front of you resolve their issues. And I know that most of you are not marriage counselors and that you're not trained to do this, but think about that for a moment. Can you be objective enough to step back from your own worldview and listen to what someone else is saying? It doesn't mean that the other person's right, but can you validate there might be a reason why they feel the way they do? Can you validate why they have the worldview they do and the political view that they do? And can you step back from your own selfishness and recognize that and recognize where they're wrong, where they're right? And then the most important thing is to recognize where you're wrong. So if you cannot acknowledge where you have gone wrong, the argument will never be won, because you're both going to try to be right. So do you want to be right, or do you want a relationship? Because you can't have both. Sometimes there has to be compromise, and it starts with being able to step back and recognize your own bias. Again, I fail at this sometimes. I do, especially in the world of politics. But if we're going to get through this political mess that we're in, we've got to be able to start stepping back, looking at things objectively. Stop jumping to conclusions just because you read an article and you automatically will jump to conclusions because it confirms your own bias. You have such a hatred, some of you, for the opposing party that you will stop at nothing to destroy them. You're like Captain Ahab out to hunt his whale, and not realizing that not only is it destroying you, but it's destroying everyone else around you and is poisoning your life. I hope this helps. If you have questions about things, reach out to me. My website is championfamiliescounseling.com. I'm always here. I'm most definitely willing to answer any questions that you might have for free. I'm not going to charge you for that. I will, but if you want to schedule a session, you want to talk about anything, whether it's relationships, anxiety, doesn't matter. I'm a counselor. That's what I do. So reach out. And again, it's championfamiliescounseling.com. If you like this video, if it helped, share it. Please get the word out. And I'll have many more videos to come. So subscribe to my page, and we'll see you soon. All right.